News that the Supreme Court overturned the landmark 1973 Roe v. Wade ruling that recognized a woman's constitutional right to an abortion nationwide sparked waves of protests across the country.
This decision must not stand! This decision must not stand!
It also inspired celebrations among those who were glad to see the 50-year precedent thrown out.
No matter what happens the night they were conceived, we go out and say, because you are human, you matter.
In New York, many found the move by the conservative court shocking.
Oh my God. So many people are going to be horribly impacted by this. Like, that's terrifying. That's actually terrifying.
Letting these people make decisions over your own body, over a woman's body, is just appalling. I find it appalling. I'm so angry and upset.
The Supreme Court is a clown show.
My reaction to the overturning of Roe v. Wade is ridiculous. A woman should always have the right to choose.
I am personally thrilled.
Abortion rights opponents like Teresa Brennan, the president of the Right to Life League, expressed a sense of relief.
I know that they have the my body, my choice, but for me, the baby also has a fundamental right. And I know that to some people that feels like then you're sort of stripping away the rights of the mother. I believe we really as a nation need to come together behind women and provide resources.
Meanwhile, abortion rights advocates are dismayed. Tamaya Cox-Torre is the director of the American Civil Liberties Union of Oklahoma.
I'm devastated in the ideas that for the first time in my lifetime, that a right that was guaranteed is now gone. I'm devastated the fact that things that we hold so dearly to us, like the right to privacy and the right to bodily autonomy, can be taken away. But we are in this fight for the long haul. We will not let up. And it took 50 years for Roe to be overturned, and it may take us 15 years to get it back, but we are willing to be in that fight.
It's obviously a dark day and a very disappointing day. And as a doctor, I'm, angry and upset that women have lost this protected right that has existed for 50 years. I fear for the women of this country. And I fear for patients who are losing what was a protected constitutional right, and they're now going to have to travel distances to have to get that care. And certainly I'm fearful that many women will not be able to find a way to get that care and will be put in, very, difficult situations. I've been practicing OBGYN for 25 years, and I've helped at least over 10,000 women in, significant reproductive situations. Texas, put a ban in a few months ago at 6 weeks, or at the finding of a fetal heartbeat. So we are already seeing throughout the Mount Sinai Health System, throughout New York City, and throughout other states, women coming from Texas. I have personally, at this point, taken care of 4 patients from Texas in the last month because, again, they have no ability to get care, for the most part, in the state of Texas.
Between today and tomorrow, we had close to 70 patients who were scheduled. This morning, we began to provide services and we're able to see, I think, 4 patients today.
And when the ruling came down, we had to go out to those individuals who were in our waiting room and say, we're so sorry. That decision that you made for yourself, for your family, for your future, is no longer your decision to make here in Wisconsin.
I still fear for some people who don't have the ability to access a safe legal abortion, that some people will turn to drastic measures and inflict self-harm. And it's so unnecessary. We are in 2022. People should not have to desperately turn to unsafe methods to terminate a pregnancy.
Although abortion services are not available at PPWI for now, Planned Parenthood's doors are open across the state, and we are still here to help patients get the care that they need. This includes helping people who need an abortion access safe and legal abortion care.
Today, a physician treating a pregnant patient with medical complications will now face felony criminal charges and imprisonment if a prosecutor disagrees that the medically indicated abortion they performed was indeed life-saving enough.
Okay, you're in your apartment right now?
Yes, but half the building's gone.
It's 1 year since the tragic and deadly collapse of a residential building in Surfside, Florida. 98 people were killed outright when the Champlain Towers South condo crumbled in the early hours of June 24th, 2021. One of those victims was 26-year-old attorney Nicole Langesfeld. Her father describes her as a piece of art because of her beauty and her smile. Martin is her brother.
We started to count the floors, trying to find the apartment, and we saw that half of my sister's apartment was still standing. So you begin to make scenarios up in your head and just hope that they were in the other half of the apartment that was standing. And 15 days later, we came to notice that, we got a knock on our door saying they recovered my sister.
Martin and his father Pablo have been fighting for justice for Nicole and her husband Louis Sadovnik, who also died. The cause of the collapse is still under investigation by the National Institute of Standards and Technology. But court documents, emails, and other records released by officials at the time tell a story of repeated concerns about structural problems in the 12-story building. The inquiry seeks to find out the technical cause of the collapse and will not determine whether there was a criminal act or violation of regulation.
No one is being held accountable. No one is taking any responsibility. No one is taking any liability. Not even a percentage of liability.
It's been 1 year. This is an official document by the state attorney, Catherine Fernandez-Rondo, who has declined to meet with us, with many families, countless times. It's around 40 pages. The first sentence of the document speaking in the collapse has the wrong date.
The state attorney's office later told Reuters it's held Zoom meetings with some victims' families. This week, a Florida judge approved a $1.2 billion settlement with insurers, developers, and other defendants in the case. But Nicole's father had already vowed to fight on.
My daughter, she was an attorney. Since she was 5, she wanted justice. She was 5. She became a very good lawyer to seek justice. And this is what we want. Whoever's been responsible has to pay.
U.S. stocks rallied Friday, rebounding off the bear market lows to notch the first weekly gain of the month as investors tempered expectations for the Federal Reserve's plan to hike interest rates. This after a University of Michigan survey showed that while U.S. consumer sentiment fell to a record low in June, Americans saw a marginal improvement in the outlook for inflation. Rod Von Lipsey is a managing director at UBS Private Wealth Management.
Perhaps investors are believing that the market has been overly pessimistic. With last week's hawkish Fed, there's probably a higher likelihood that we could maneuver ourselves to a soft landing. And so the traders are coming back and saying maybe things are overly pessimistic. And so we're seeing a little bit of support in the markets this afternoon.
The Dow climbed more than 800 points to end almost 2.7% higher. The S&P 500 rose 3%, snapping a 3-week losing streak, while the Nasdaq soared 3 1/3% higher. Bank stocks rallied after the Fed's annual stress test exercise showed that the country's big banks have enough capital to weather a severe economic downturn, Shares of FedEx jumped after issuing a stronger than expected full-year profit forecast, and tech stocks, which have been battered so far this year, staged a comeback, with Meta Platforms, Alphabet, and Netflix each posting gains of more than 5%.